SPP was first presented to us by our CEO of the Trust, and I've got to say that I was the most sceptical person in the room at the time. Things like barriers with capacity in school and who am I going to get to do that job and when am I going to release them to do that job became real worries for myself. But when I actually got together with the team that we were working within and we put our own expectations together and a little bit of a memorandum of understanding about how we were going to do it, it became much more clear the route that we were going to take and how beneficial that would be to the school. I first worked in a triad where we decided that we were going to focus on reading in school and how to make improvements and adjustments to reading. It was really quite clear that having a shared priority amongst us helped us with that process and to design that process. And what we tended to do was refine it each time we went into a different school. I've got to say that we were the last to go ahead with that process, so I felt that the adjustments that were made were really beneficial to Birstall, and it allowed us to iron out any creases that we'd had before in the process too. Being ahead of a school, you're very inward looking and you tend to just focus on your own things that you need to be looking at within a school. However, the process was outlined to us that obviously we had to have responsibility amongst others as well, and being part of the peer review we were able to go in and evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of other schools, which has allowed us to build on that with each other and take accountability for the improvements that we make to the schools that we are facing. Having gone through this, we seem to have a real buy-in now with the improvement champion role. So the first person who undertook that role and had the training was very enthusiastic when they came back, and the fact that they could see the changes that had been put in place in a school as a result of their workshop and the impact of that was really rewarding. We've got to the point now that other members of staff are putting their hands up and saying, no, we'd like to embark on that process too and be part of that role too. I would definitely recommend to my fellow colleagues in joining the SPP process because it's allowed us to demonstrate improvements fairly quickly within our schools and improvements that we ourselves have driven by, with the outcomes being obviously central to the children and their achievement. It's not a process that's punitive where people feel like it's been done to them. It's something that we can take pride in and say, no, these adjustments have been taking place as a result of us wanting to enhance the provision that we've got here at Birstall. And I think it's, fairly quick in terms of its turnover and lasting in its impact too.